All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Harvey. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Yay. Addie got a mic. Beautiful. So, welcome, everybody. So good to have you all here. I always laugh when I say that because where's here?
It's a new year, apparently.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Like, I'll be drawing a five at the end instead of a four.
You have to get used to it, though. Sometimes you accidentally draw four.
Yeah, I got to work on my fives. So, yeah, that's the illusion of time appears to exist. I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about that there's no freedom in thoughts. That as long as I'm identified as a thought, um, because the peace isn't in a thought. So if I keep going to thoughts, I'm never really at peace. So here, Dawn, here's the word. I know you like this word. The first word is to notice. Like, is there a sense of a me or an I without a thought? Or could it be that the sense of a me or an I is built into the thought such that no thought, no you? That thought is that I, which seems continuous in time, actually is dependent upon the thought itself. In other words, the thought of me or I is built in to the thought. So every time you have a thought, it's a new I. It's not the same I. That's the illusion. So the beauty of this is that the peace is already. That's the beauty of this. There's no doing. Like thoughts, in a way, are a doing. Like every thought is an attempt at a doing in a way.
Or the thought is the peace itself.
Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ultimately, yeah.
Well, because if it's seen as just a thought, then it can be a bumpy ride. You know what I'm saying? It's not seen as peace. It's the sort of dawn. It's like the thought is taken at face value. It's funny because it's almost like you can begin to think clearly for the first time because all that energy that was parsing thoughts, trying to figure out which one was the real thought, the true thought, the most beneficial thought, all that energy is now freed up. Like suddenly you don't have a problem with thoughts and thoughts don't have a problem with you. It kind of was bad for both. If I took myself to be a thought, you could say, just to tell a story, it wasn't fun for me or the thought. You know what I mean? Like there's a beauty in the thought being able to just be a thought. So now what, right? So now there's this noticing that you're not your thoughts, right? So you'd say, well, how do you do anything, Michael? How do you make any decisions? How does anything get done? Um, Something that Jenny and I talk a lot about is, in Leela too, is intuition. I know maybe in some non-duality circles that's a dirty word, but I have to tell you, the intuition feels like God. It doesn't feel like me. It doesn't feel like a person, a separate. The intuition feels like. And the funny thing is, Leela was telling me that because she could sing as a kid, she thought everybody could sing. Everybody could. She could sing, so logically, as a kid, she thought, well, it's not true. And it's the same. Uh, we have an anti-papa. Let's try it. Um, I completely lost my train of thought. Somebody want to help me?
Leela could sing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jackie. I remember. It was that I thought everybody had intuition. And then you see somebody in these videos, right? These goofy videos where they're trying to jump across like an 8-foot river, and you can just tell they're not going to make it. It's not even going to be close. And of course, they end up what? Splat right into the water. And to you, it was obvious. You wouldn't have even attempted it because you already know the result. So intuition is this knowing, and we all have it. But for some of us, apparently, it's like a roaring fire. It can vary in degrees. And I tell you that intuition has never, ever, ever, ever been wrong. It's just never happened. Yay. Hi, Auntie Papa. Welcome. Feel free to unmute at
Hello,
any
hello,
time.
hello. Oh my goodness. Hi. Hi, Michael.
Yay.
Um, Michael.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Eminem.
Yeah. Eminem and Jackie and Don and Chris and more. I don't think I haven't been on in so many years. And here we still are.
What a surprise. Look at
Nice
this.
to see you.
Oh, what a pleasure. Such a joy. So intuition, it's the silence. It's when you get quiet. That's how I would describe it. And I feel into it, whatever it is. I just get quiet. Does this excite me? Is this something I want to do? Let's say somebody asks me to do something. Someone invites you to a party, an event. It doesn't really matter what it is. That's the funny thing. And I just get quiet. And if I want to do it like a project, like it lights up green, it's like it excites me. I want to do it. It's like a joy. So that would be what I would say is a green light. And then you can feel into something. And again, this is like a universal tool, so to speak. It works for anything. So whatever it is you have a question about, it literally doesn't matter. You just get quiet and I'm just sharing what I do. Um, I get quiet, and then if it comes up red, like somebody invites me to do, and it's just like, no, no, I'm just not interested. It doesn't even need an explanation. It just something in me is like, I don't see myself doing that. It's very kind of ruthless, which I like. Just red. And then the third one is a yellow light. And again, these are just stories. And a yellow just means not enough information. Not enough information. I don't know what to do. I'm not sure if I should do it. I'm not sure if I shouldn't do it. So I do nothing. Now, this is all story. So if you want to, if some like radical non-duality want to tear this apart, it's very easy. But I'm just sharing with you this idea of getting quiet and seeing how I feel about whatever it is that's coming up. It doesn't matter what it is. A person, you feel into them. An emotion, you feel into it. And then you just get quiet and see what comes up. Is Michael, is your Michael Markham's got his hand up?
Hmm, I
What's
do.
going what's going on here? Michael, get in here.
It's my yellow hand.
Yeah.
Um, uh, each of us has a different dictionary as personas. I see intuition as the imagined ability to see into the future, is to compute what's going to happen in the imaginary future. And I come to a roadblock when you say intuition. I I think we're talking about the same thing. I think so much of what our core beliefs are fundamentally different, and even in non-duality circles, maybe especially in non-duality circles. But here, it's life is experienced as almost a free flow, a free flight, a headless free flight into a vast unknown unknowableness. And there seems to be a core peacefulness in that, a sublime quiescent uh, center that's undisturbed by anything. In 15 years, along with this internal dialogue, the incessant roof brain chatter that is the sense of self, as seen here, there is in the center of it this most peaceful unknowingness. When you say intuition, I kind of sense what you're saying, although my own definition of intuitive thought implies someone to see into the future. And I do not resonate with that.
Yeah. Hey, Michael. First of all, I love what you said. Like you spoke so beautiful and eloquently, about the unknowing, not knowing, and it so resonates here. But I just want to give a little more explanation. And
Mhm.
that is, one second, let me let Anon in. And that is, for so long in the so-called radical non-duality community, there was sort of this attitude of, um, there's no one there to do anything, no one there to do anything. So if you had let's say a decision to make, well, there's no one there to make a decision. So don't know what you're talking about. After a while, that didn't quite cut it. Here, for me, saying that there was no one there didn't I didn't feel satisfied. Like,
Mm.
oh, I still wanted it felt being detached from a decision rather than being like taking it on full on. Like I wanted to go into it, not detach from it. And I'm just sharing here, if you do feel like a separate me, but you want to make decision, you're not sure. I'm just sharing what worked, what I did, but I'm not saying it's the right way or the only way. Yeah.
I love what you share, Michael. Um, you seem like a bright light to me. I'm glad our paths crossed in this most mysterious adventures.
Yeah, like Michael just said, the way I'd say is that this is a beautiful story right here, right now, amongst this group of people. It's just a beautiful story. This body over here is a beautiful story. These thoughts are a beautiful story. The speaking that I'm hearing is a beautiful story. The different way people look is a
Mm.
beautiful story. Um, my feet really are a beautiful story. It's just a beautiful story, and like period, no more, nothing to understand or figure out. It's just beautiful.
Mm, mm, mm. And even that's a story. Stories all the way down.
Mhm.
Michael, did you have a catharsis? What happened? What happened to end your search? I haven't heard your story.
Um, well, really, it was about 4 years ago when Nkosi showed up and left a very innocuous little comment on a post I had made. Just
Mm,
a very innocent little comment. He said, whether there's a sense of a me there or not, this doesn't mind.
mm, mm, mm.
And it was a great relief that it didn't matter. Like that no longer, I didn't care. It was not interesting here, whether there was a sense of a me or not. It didn't have to go. And the other thing that Nkosi brought, at least to my attention, was the word already. He said, all is this already. And there was just something here that I can't explain it. It just resonated with that. That all is it then what is there to search for? If everything is it already, it was like too logical to me. Yeah, it is kind of it is pretty funny because the kind of the joke of it is the cosmic joke. All is this already, but you honestly, right? You don't have a clue what this is.
But you are it. You may not know what it is, but you are it.
Yeah, yeah. It- like Auntie Papa says, yes.
She's so beautiful. How could we know we are it from within an imaginary it? How can we know anything? How can any statement about our condition hold any water at all? Here it seems like a profound unknowingness, a knowable unknowingness. It's almost freedom from the conceptual storm. It's I have a me. I couldn't interface with anyone if I didn't. I think that's the greatest gift in the universe is this sense of I am. No other organism has ever had that or ever will again when we're gone. I think we're unique in the universe. When we're gone, the only window that the universe has to get a glimpse of its own magnificence, and it's a tiny glimpse. We see a tiny spectrum of the waves available.
Yeah.
So our spectrum of the universe, our vision of the universe is so tiny, but still it's the universe looking at itself through us. That's so magnificent. Human beings, if you look at them, each one of them are so damn beautiful. Intricate stories that just go on and on. When I look at someone, I want to know about your childhood and your adolescence. I want to know the parties you went to and the couches you were thrown up on. Yeah, I did that. Well, I've apologized to the people, and they said, "Oh, it's all right." In AA, you have to apologize. And I did for everything that I could find, everyone I could find, and they still loved me. I find out the more people know about me, the more they love me. My deepest secrets are what we have in common. In AA, there's a four-step where you go through somebody's whole story, everything they've done, all their shame, all their guilt. And then you just say, gee, it's just a story. You just love them and you put your arms around them. And the next meeting, you go up and hug them. And it feels like you're clean again. Like if you factor out choice, forgiveness becomes meaningless. You start to forgive yourself. It's sweet and clean and innocent. And you see everyone that way.
Mhm.
So beautiful. I don't know Jackie. I want to know all about her.
Jackie.
Yeah, I don't know her. Um, I see
I want to know more about you, Michael Markham. Just
oh,
listening to you is so magical. So please continue.
you love.
It's so freaking magical. It's mesmerizing as I'm listening to you.
You love. If I were here, I would want to put my forehead against yours and just look at you, to soak you in. We live alone in a world of our own memories, and our common connection is language. And at least we have that. We meet here in this meadow, Rumi's meadow, with a common language and share our humanness, our joy, our sadness, the battles we've won and lost. I love being human. I love being a man. I love the electricity between men and women. Um, it's magnetic, it's pulsating, it's beautiful. Oh, Harvey's smiling. I
Get in here, Harvey.
love Harvey.
I love you too. I was just going to say the love between, as you said, man and man, and woman, and man and woman and animal, and all of it. I wanted to, for a second, I just wanted to kind of jump in about the intuition. Um, and Intuition is not, uh, Michael, Michael Markham, when you were talking about intuition, I think you were almost referring to something called precognition, which is like looking into the future. That's a little bit different. But I think it reminded me, this is to Michael Jeffries, it reminded me sometimes when people talk about quote unquote awakening or whatever, that they often will say, well, now I can't do things like yoga or meditation or taking a hike. They'll say you can't because that's a doing. But there's no right or wrong. It's just that intuition, you could look at it as if the mind is going through all kinds of thoughts, there's a kind of just sitting with it or just quieting into stillness and seeing what shows up. And what shows up may be sort of beyond the conditioned thinking. Okay. And so I think intuition, if one is doing that, there's no wrong or right. It's just something that's there. And if it serves, then, whether or not we could say, oh, there's a you doing it or the intuitive thought is inevitable, doesn't matter. If it serves you and others, then perfect.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank Harvey. That's exactly how I meant it.
Yeah. And I think very often in so-called non-dual circles, yeah, people get all kind of hung up on the doing versus non-doing. But in a way, putting that all aside, the question I always bring up when I'm talking to people or mentoring or teaching is, does it serve? And does it serve for the so-called individual, the community, the family, institutions, all of that? And that to me, there's that simplicity of that's there too. And that immediacy of called intuition, that's what's there. And that's okay. Not okay in the sense of good or bad, it's just what appears.
Mhm. You know, what I like about it is its universality. It literally doesn't matter what it is. It can be anything from, oh, I have a pain. Should I call, 911? Or should I go to the hospital? You can just feel into it and get quiet. And that I just find it's so easy and it becomes a habit. It's not really, and it just has intuition is just a word. We don't know
Yeah.
what it is. So in a way, Michael Markham, we are speaking the same language because we don't know what anything is.
Even in intuition, I think there's that unknowingness is there. It's like sometimes I would say to people when they're all conflicted or it appears as they're conflicted in their thoughts, I'll say, just sit with it. Sit on the cushion, sit on the rock, and just sit and then see what shows up. And that's really the the openness to possibility. Because at that point, when you say, I don't know what to do, then in that stillness and just sitting with it, and then we see what shows up.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that is the meditation. You know, it's funny. Yeah, you could say there's no one to meditate, but all the great sages, Jenny was talking about this, Ramana Maharshi, Nisargadatta, they all meditated, all of them. Meditation is very simple. It's not complicated. It just means be aware of the silence that's ever present.
Hmm.
I think meditation's a little bit overrated, in my honest opinion. I think everything is meditation. Everything.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at now. Wash the dishes, stay present. Isn't meditation just being present to something else than what's going on? Like taking it away from whatever's arising could be meditation. It could be just meditation. Like now is meditation, right?
Yeah. Beautiful.
You don't have to sit there and, you know,
No.
yeah.
Well, you kind of put your finger on something. The difference here is before this, the mantra was trying to get somewhere. I was trying to get somewhere. I wanted to
Mm-mm.
be enlightened. I wanted to pop. And now the meditation is without purpose.
Hmm.
Just saying that we don't do meditation, that we are meditation.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And beautiful, Harvey. And that's not seen until you meditate.
Yeah. I think in a way I could say to Michael Markham, uses intuition all the time. So, Michael, when you go to Target, you don't know who you're going to meet, but you're open to the possibility of who you're going to wrestle when you get there, or who you might hug, or who you're going to talk to. And so you don't preconceive that I will find somebody or I won't. You just go there and who knows what shows up. And then people leave happily that they met you because you gave them that gift and it wasn't even planned. And so that's the sort of that I'll call it noetic intuition of saying, I don't know what's going to show up. So I'll just find out and see. And that's the beauty.
That's beautiful, Harvey. There is no options ever occur here. I don't have to sit and see which option I'll take. It's just like our thoughts. We don't plan our what we're going to say normally. We don't plan the words just come up by themselves spontaneously in this type of conversation. Um, I think life can be lived, well, here at least it's experienced as just an unawareness flowing along with whatever happens. Um, oh God, it's so exciting. Like Harvey said, when we went to pick up groceries today, and the man who came to the car, I played with him like I normally do, and quite often say to people, say, tell your parents they did a good job, and almost always they say, I will. Um, and I hope they do. For parents to have a middle-aged person come up and say, Mom, you did a good job. It's so wonderful to hear. And it's wonderful to have someone ask us to tell our parents they did a good job. Um, those things just come up naturally and easily, and people open up. The shell comes off, the garment drops to the floor, the bloody, tear-stained dress comes unraveled, the cross drops. And for a moment, we play like puppies, like dogs at the dog park. Paws down, tail up, you want to play? Dogs unleashed at the beach. Um, this tremendous freedom just to be. So many years we burdened ourselves with our job and our troubles and our everything. And like Michael said, it's always there. Quietness is always there. It never left.
Yeah, it's just not noticed when I'm involved with thoughts. It just escapes my attention because my attention's on. It's so innocent. Nobody's doing it, but there can be a sort of falling in love with the stillness again, like a re-remembering. Oh yeah, I'm I'm before the thoughts.
Here, the thoughts are embraced as the natural, as our natural condition. Without thinking, we don't exist. I think the self is nothing but thoughts and memories. Um, it's even thoughts don't interrupt the quietness. It's there now. Uh, I think it's in every, oh, I know it's in everyone. It's part of the human condition. And when we allow a person for a moment, a glimpse to see their own beauty, as we look at their beauty and are aghast at it, somehow that comes across and a quietness comes across. I love talking with people like the people here who understand what, who understand. Don just laughed. I love you, Don.
It's like you have to let go of the thoughts to be in the calm, in the peace. And but that's a stopping point too. That's stuck too. You have to let go of the peace. Because if you know there's peace, or you're in the peace, or you like the peace, or you feel the peace, it means the I is still there. They're still separate from the peace. Um,
Yeah, it's funny, Don. Um, it's it's by chasing the peace that we overlook it. As Jenny says, when we stop chasing it, suddenly, you know, voila. Oh, it was always here, but I was too busy looking for it.
but you don't when the peace is there, you don't even know it's there because you're not there. There's only peace.
Beautiful. Damn.
Maybe the thoughts are the stillness as well, like the waves on the ocean that
Hmm.
maybe by saying, I think it's often said that I often hear that we need to let go of the thoughts, but in fact, the thoughts are the stillness showing up as thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, Harvey, what's noticed here is somehow the identification with the thought mucks it up.
The claiming of it.
It's just the stillness, it's sort of, and this again is just a story, but it's almost it's seeing the thought for the beauty of and the magic of what it is without needing to do anything with it, without claiming it as you or yours or trying to manipulate it.
Is thought a thing that can be thought about? Is thought something that can be manipulated or stopped? Um, I think when with the objectifying mind, it is confined to and defined by named objects that don't actually exist. That thought is not a thing. It's consciousness is not a thing. When they try to find the neural correlates of consciousness, there's a mass assumption that consciousness is an actual thing that can be studied by consciousness, which is quite a conundrum. Can one thing study itself? If there were such a thing, could it study itself? Can thought think about thought? I think it gets hazy when one ponders it from that perspective. You can't stop thoughts because we emerge within the thinking. we as personas, we are not different than the thinking. For us to try to stop thought is, Nisargadatta refers to it as painting blood or washing blood with blood, trying to wash away blood
Mhm.
by blood. It's futile. You can't
Yeah.
stop thought. You are thought. I think what Harvey said, that peace is within the thoughts also. I don't try to stop thoughts. I love them. They arise spontaneously sometime in the middle of the night. Uh, Most often in the past, I would come across one of these thoughts and try to write it down before I forgot it because I always forget it. And then I get up in the morning, I can't read my own writing because it was done in the dark. And then I think that's okay too. It's thought arises naturally, like an artesian well, and we emerge with it. We're not different. It's not a thing, really. It's an idea. And we can't stop an idea with an idea. Stopping is an idea. We're trying to use the idea of Ramana says you can remove a thorn with a thorn, but you cannot remove you cannot remove a conceptual thorn with a conceptual thorn. It's all concepts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all concepts. There you go, Michael.
Oh,
I think if there's a seeing of a thought, the same way we'd see the wind blowing, a raindrop coming down, that it's not special. It's like, it's just what's showing up. And and if there's a claiming of a thought, then we sort of make it special. And that becomes problematic in a sense. It's like just the thought is no more special, greater than or of the wind blowing and the dog barking. It's just, just.
Right.
And
But
and so then there's that peacefulness. Even the thought is just what's showing up. It's no better or worse than anything else. It's not special, or it's just what's there.
right. The distinction I wanted to make, Harvey, is the illusion that it was my thought. That
uh,
was the suffering.
And that's because we make it special. It's my thought. It's happening to me. And then so we elevate it. We elevate the
Right.
thought to, oh yes, it can do this or do that. And that comes from saying it's mine or
Right.
claiming it.
So I felt into that. And I realized what was seen here was the illusion is that there's a me that's a constant, and these thoughts are arising to this me. No, that's not actually what's happening. The thought also contains the I.
hmm.
Yeah.
No thought, no I. So you're
Hmm.
experiencing hundreds, if not thousands, of I's a day. For every thought comes with its own I.
Speaking of eyes, you have beautiful eyes there, Michael.
He does, doesn't he?
Yes,
Yeah.
amazing.
Mi-
Yeah,
You talking about Michael Jeffries or Michael Markham?
Michael Jeffries.
yeah.
Aw,
Oh,
man, what a group. I didn't know if anyone was going to show up. I actually was sitting here before the meeting going, well, I still hold the meeting if nobody comes. And yes, lo and behold, I was shocked. I was going to hold it even if nobody came and just see what comes out.
Oh, wonderful.
thinking
Harvey,
of
what
thinking
do
of
you
thinking, Michael. I said my mum, she would always say to me, not only my mum, but teachers and many people in the past, you think too much. And I find that very, very offensive. I find that very offensive. Because as if there's a choice. It's just all happening by itself. There's no doing, there's no one here going up there going, think thoughts, think. It just, and it's for a long time it bothered me. It actually caused me a lot of grief, feeling like they're not good enough and that, but why do I think too much and why this and why that? And now that doesn't live
oh,
here anymore. It doesn't live here anymore, which is amazing. And it like you said, I'm surprised at myself, at the thoughts, not even at myself, but at the thoughts that arise in the moments of moments. And I laugh a lot I laugh so much at it. It's like it's not a separation, but there's this awareness that awareness is just becoming aware of itself. It
Okay.
isn't, and it takes down that it's the heaviness of trying to be this whatever
Okay.
persona.
It's
Yeah.
time we come clean. Whoever has inappropriate thoughts, I mean, like just wildly Tourette syndrome, I'm like, oh my God, I can't say that. Where'd that come from? Shame on you.
Oh my God.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
That's like every other thought for me, Michael.
Boom. Mic drop.
We're sexual animals. Um, we've repressed that for so long, and the repression runs rampant through most human minds. And I, I'm a man. I see beautiful women. I fall in love with, I think, every woman I see. Uh, I've known Auntie Papa for a long time.
Hmm.
I've fallen in love with her, her voice, her accent. She doesn't think she has an accent, but she does.
I love you, Michael. You know how much I love you. You know how much I love you. I had the pleasure of interviewing you some time ago, remember? You still got that beautiful video. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love you. You're the daddy of all daddies.
you sweetness.
Auntie Papa, where are you located?
It's
Australia, Melbourne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I recognize the accent.
uh, Harvey, what happens to you? Something's changed. Something's different. Did you have a shift in perspective?
Um, I would not call it a shift. Because that's like a before and after. I would just say things are, I don't know. I can't, I really couldn't really say it was any kind of shift. Because I just see it's more of just what is.
Hmm. Do you experience a sublime peace inside under all conditions?
I would call it an okayness.
Okayness.
Not not okay versus not okay. It's not that. It's just like
Um,
I would just say whatever shows up, there's a I could call it a serenity or an okayness. An okay, everything is just even whatever shows up is just this. It's just here. It's whatever. It's it just is.
do you have among your peers, are there any? I have my best friend is a retired philosophy professor, and amongst his peers, he taught at a Catholic or a religious school, and most of them believed in God, and of course he did not. So there was some tension among his peers and himself. Do you experience that with your philosophy professor peers?
Um, no,
Mm.
and the reason I would say that is that um, in everything that I do or teach, or whatever I'm doing, because I'm teaching all kinds of different courses, but there's a conveyance, I would say, not a deliberate conveyance, but um, there's a sense of, I'll call it purpose, mission, or whatever, to to give something. It's like a gift in a sense to everyone, no matter what I'm teaching. It's always there. It's the space of it's given, and so I think that's the one thing I always want to provide in the teaching, whatever I'm teaching, is making a difference to end unnecessary suffering, to and to have people question. And I always say, what is real? What is unreal? Or is it neither? That all these words just fall away. And then what are you left with when there's no words of this or that, here or there? It's just well, whatever word comes next, it's just a placeholder, and you see that's what, in a sense, that makes a kind of a difference, because not everybody's on Zooms or talking about spirituality or non-duality or whatever. But in a sense, when people are searching, and everybody's searching in different ways, of course, um, but to be able to sort of, there's a sense of maybe that stillness or presence or whatever that can be, it's not that it's being conveyed from me to them, but it's in to create a context or a space in which it sort of is just there. And those are just words, but that's kind of the way I kind of come from. And I eat and breathe it. I mean, it's, you know,
Harvey, got a question. You mentioned unnecessary suffering. It just hit me. Can there be such a thing as unnecessary suffering?
Hmm.
there is it, that's a good question. And the way I kind of look at it is, um, there is, let's say you're in your house and a hurricane comes and blows it down, or whatever. Okay. And then there's that grief of, or maybe a piece of wood hit your head or whatever. And there's a kind of maybe physical suffering or pain. But there's a kind of suffering in which we tell stories which then add to the suffering, like, why did it happen to me? It shouldn't have happened to me. And we get into, then now we're building stories, and that creates another layer of suffering which doesn't have to be there. There's the suffering of poverty and hunger and genocide, and there's also the suffering that comes about when we say, but it can't be, it shouldn't have happened, and that produces even more suffering. And instead, to be able to look at what seems to have occurred, and then to say, let's engage, to ask, what are the possibilities, what are the possibilities. And there are people who will engage in what is, and then other people will just talk about it. It shouldn't be there, and why is it there? And that just creates, I think, the unnecessary suffering. Now, and again, I know this is kind of arbitrary, and it may not fit into any particular framework or even non-dual framework, but I always want to keep in mind that as we're all talking, and things are out there, as Amor would say, it's a shit show, and there's a lot of shit going on. So I think, in a sense, that no matter who we're talking to, there's always the possibility of that stillness, or whatever we call it, that presencing, to be there. And so we share that in those partnerships.
One of my therapists said we all need a cookie lady in our life. I had 3 or 4 growing up, fourth grade teacher that looked at me and talked with me, and a man who'd come to the ranch every summer and say, "Hello, Michael." And he'd sit and talk with me. Um, I see you as one of those who look their students in the eyes and catch their attention and share with them. I've seen you with students who would come to a meeting with you. Um, yeah, it's nice, that level that you've reached, to be on that type of rapport. I'm sure there's some students that look out their window and look on their phone, but the other one will remember you the rest of their lives.
Well, Michael, the one thing I found when I brought students on, this over a couple of years, and yes, there's some that would tell me afterwards, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I have no idea. But I do remember one that you talked to once, and although he didn't really know what we were talking about, in a way, he said he could feel love, your love, and
Uh,
caring. And that made a difference, because because in a way, in your sharing, even if he didn't understand where you might be coming from, but he could feel in your voice and that caring, and that's compassion, the coming forth of wisdom and compassion, and that's what makes the difference. It's not the words necessarily; it's that energy or whatever coming through in the communication, and that's the resonance.
Mm.
Okay, and that's the resonance that can make a difference in the lives of others.
Truly.
Beautiful. That's lovely, Harvey. And I just
Beautiful.
want to answer Auntie Papa. I thought before we close out, you asked about what we focus on expands, right? What we focus on. So that's, you know, it's true. You attract like thoughts attract more like. So if I believe I'm limited in poor me, I'll attract evidence to
Yeah.
support that.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful is the opposite also holds true. I'm infinite. I was never born. I will never die. When that starts resonating, you start attracting people and
Yeah.
others. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you just mirrors. Just mirrors. You can't see anyone else.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't.
Beautiful.
I've been looking to taste people and pick them in my body, and even in loving relationships, you just can't. You have to learn to love that is, that you, that whatever. And forgiveness. I think me living in gratitude, like with Harvey, I do a similar job. I'm a trainer and an assessor, and I teach life skills and things like that to people. And exactly what you were saying resonated really, really deeply for me, because to me, I'm living from a perspective of purpose now, whereas before I was just wherever. Even though I was born with a very busy mind, still am, I absolutely thrive in the job, and they love me. My students, participants love me because I'm there in the moment of moments when they arise. But there's this desire to help them not suffer as much as they do because of their crap, you know. Yeah.
Beautiful. I remember that student, Harvey. Um, Gosh, that was 8 or 9 years ago, and I wonder where he's at now.
I actually know because I keep up with everyone.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh,
And wisdom for life. I call it the journey through life, and we walk together through the forest where we don't know where there's no path, we don't know where it takes us, but the willingness to go hand in hand wherever it may be in that unknown,
Hmm.
in the darkness that's so dark that it's lighter than 1,000 suns.
truly, truly. We're surrounded by, I think we are the light of the world, that a unique world lights up wherever we look, and we're mirrors for each other. Um, we can't see our own beauty, but I look at each of you and I'm just, yeah, I want to tell you, if you could see your own beauty, you would fall to the ground weeping.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I just wanted to say, Addie, I've been I feel like I've gone on a whole journey with you. Like, tell me if I'm hallucinating. Like, were you like cleaning, like closing up a coffee, like a donut stand,
A
like a
Subway
job?
place.
Huh?
Yeah. Subway.
That was Subway?
Yeah.
And then you cleaned up and then you got in your car. I mean, I feel like I've been on this journey.
uh,
These are really beautiful stories tonight that I've been listening to. And at the same time, though, I go, well, they don't mean anything either. They're beautiful, and they're beautiful. They're interesting. They're beautiful. They're inspiring. They're all this great stuff, but
no,
that they don't mean anything, and
no.
that's not bad. It's not like it's meaningless. I don't mean it that way, right? It's just they have no meaning. It has no meaning, and and although they're beautiful stories, if I were on a group where everybody was depressed and giving quote non-beautiful stories, stories of despair, and that would also mean nothing. It's I don't know. It's or like it's okay, like Harvey said, you use that. It's like it's just okay. It's
Mm,
not, you're happy, okay. You're depressed, okay. If you're blissful, okay. If you're jumping off the bridge, okay.
You guys.
I live near the Golden Gate Bridge, so
Oh,
yeah.
Any
don't do
last
that, Don.
any last
Don't do
words or
that.
any last words or comments anyone would like to share before we close out this evening?
I would like to say if Addie could bottle her giggle, she would sell, it would sell incredibly well. Isn't that sweet? It sounds like a little waterfall or something.
Oh,
So beautiful.
beautiful.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys.
Oh,
Michael, Harvey, Don, Jackie, Auntie Papa, yay, Addie, Anon. Thank you guys. What a delightful treat it was hanging out with y'all tonight. Have a great night and a
let's have
great new year.
Jackie, I sent you a friend request.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, Mike.